And welcome to Just a Family. This is giving you something to talk about, or Just a Live TV as I like to call it. I'm your host, Melissa Krechler. Today we're going to be talking about how to make a difference, whether that is little steps, whether that is big steps, whether you are just one person trying to make a difference in your life or somebody else's life. We're going to be talking all about that. Our sponsor today is a Phoenix Identity. What difference do you want to make in the world? Start by asking yourself what made a difference in your life. Set up a free clarity session today and learn how you can identify the difference you can make. Link in the description. All right. I'm going to hand it over to our guest speaker today. B, would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is B Sedgwick, and it really is B. I'm an author, a speaker, a workshop leader. I mainly work on the Spirit Moxie website, which is the name of my business. It's been around for 10 years, but the tagline is what's important for our conversation. The tagline to Spirit Moxie is little things that can change the world. And one of the parts of this vision that is important, I think, to our conversation today, and also to this whole series that you do, is that what we do matters and the little things have big effects. Yeah, there's more impact if a lot of people do things, and that's one of the things I've been working on, but we really forget that what we do as individuals absolutely matters. Mm-hmm. And it's divided. I mean, think about walking down the street and having a really terrible day and somebody smiles at you. And it just sort of like, do you remember that feeling where it just sort of switches how that day goes? We have stories on that one. Yeah, and we do that for other people and we forget.
All the time. We do, right? It's like we've talked about the power of a hug, right? Or a touch on the hand or on the shoulder, or, you know, just telling somebody, hey, I hear you, or hi. Just acknowledging that somebody is existing it makes a huge difference in their life. My tagline for the show is imagine changing the world one conversation at a time. And that's what the goal is, right? Is help changing the world one conversation at a time. One of the things that I wanted to point out to all of our viewers is, you know, it's easy to say you can make a difference. It's easy to say that, but it's not easy to believe that. And a lot of us, when somebody tells us, hey, you can make a difference, or your story matters, or you can help change the world by recycling, or whatever you're being told that you can help change the world, we absolutely have global issues. There's global issues. There's abuse. There's violence. There's pollution. Absolutely. There's all of that across the globe. And you can say, well, how can I change that? How can I, as one person, make that change? It's not all going to change with one person at one time. It's going to be one person each doing one thing to make a difference.
Let me get this a little deeper. One of the things that we're all hearing a lot about is the importance of being present, of being like in the now. It's one of my pet peeves is how things I keep talking about all of a sudden become current. But anyway, but in that place, there is peace and calm when you're just like now. I mean, when you're like now, there's not room for anything else. And when you are in that space, that energy spreads in spite of you. If you have you ever walked into a conversation that's a little bit iffy, but it's not your conversation and you don't get it, and you're just sort of calmly listening and notice that sometimes the energy in that conversation will go down just because you're not playing with it? That's a concrete example that spreads even though you're just you and you're just doing what you do. I mean, thinking about this, I've been thinking of funny examples. Like I used to live in New York City, and people think of it as this big and personal, crazy place that people live in. If you live in New York, you know that's not true, but the rest of the world thinks that's what it is. And there are multiple stories, but maybe my favorite is being an anonymous person on a subway platform and having somebody make sure I didn't go anywhere farther with my dress hiked up a little bit, that I wasn't going to embarrass myself. I didn't know this person, I didn't know anything, but they weren't going to get this other woman go anywhere like that. And that was a lot of years ago. Yeah. So it's this mixture of stuff. We also, the other piece is the way you take care of yourself actually changes others. If you're getting enough sleep, trust me, it affects more than you. If you are working at really being your most healthy self, you're taking resources that could be, you're making the distribution of resources easier because you're not using up those health resources, those other ones. And if you are in some sort of situation where you're not feeling well and still dare to love your body at the same time, it starts transforming some of the energy on how you're healing. There's multiple. I mean, I can talk about. I mean, I've got a list of over 100, so we're stuck. If we go short on conversation, we can go somewhere here. But does that make sense to you?
Absolutely, and it is. But when we take care of ourselves and we put ourselves first, which is what we're supposed to do, right? You look at mothers who are taking care of kids. My children know that I take care of me first, and if I'm not good on my end, I'm not going to be the best mother. I'm not going to be the best CEO. I'm not going to be the best wife or the best friend or the best sister or daughter or any of those things because I'm not taking care of me. So it does create a ripple effect when you're not taking care of yourself. It ripples out to everybody else. And when you are taking care of yourself, you're showing other people how to take care of themselves, right? My kids are like, "Oh, Mom, you look great today." And I'm like, "Thanks. So do you," right? And it's creating that ripple effect of, hey, I take care of myself, or Mom takes care of herself. Why don't I start taking care of myself? And we lead by example. And that's across the globe. Like walking, like you said at the beginning, walking down the street and having somebody smile at you, right? I live in what's called friendly Manitoba. Now, it is friendly. We are absolutely friendly. When we first meet you, we are very friendly. But if you piss us off, then it's throat punch time. Like we're just 360, right? But our go-to is being friendly. If somebody's walking down the street, you nod or you say hi or you wave or you have that, I want to say almost like an old school vibe where, you know, you care about the people around you and you come together as a community. And, you know, I read a news report the other day where a gentleman had pulled over and he was helping a family of ducks across the street, and everybody in the area was clapping and saying good job and like just really excited that this guy was showing such care and affection for these ducks. And unfortunately, he was hit by a car and killed while doing this, right? And it was a tragic event. But again, he, you know, I'd like to think that, you know, maybe he passed knowing that he had done a really good thing.
And also being an example of what can happen. I mean, not happen to him, but happen to the.
That's tragic, obviously. That doesn't happen all the time.
No, that doesn't, it doesn't really, it really doesn't. Another piece of this, it came up in my head as a random example, but like in 2000, I'll say 17, I could be wrong. I wrote a piece on the importance of washing your hands. What if that had caught on before the end of 2019, the beginning of 2020 and 2017 to 2000, 20, what if everybody was already washing their hands regularly? Would it have helped? It might have, with the whole COVID spread thing.
Well, I think I'm almost 40 this year, or I will be 40 this year, and I've been told to wash my hands since I was a year old, if not younger.
Exactly.
So that's just a universal. Everybody's been taught to wash their hands for many.
Well, but if people paid attention, if they knew it was something that, okay, but so washing your hands is something you do that changes the world.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's recycling, right?
Recycling, absolutely.
There's recycling. There is
Composting.
Composting, harmful product use, avoiding, like they're talking about gasoline, right? And now we have electric cars or hybrid cars, and you look at those, and while they're great, when you have an electric battery, it is very hard to dispose of. And they're very, like, I know where I am and what I've heard my husband say, because my husband has been a mechanic for many years and ran a mechanic shop for many years. Trying to dispose of an electric battery is very hard. And there's a lot of more complication with that, right? And it's toxic too. So there's, I think everybody has to make a decision. So anybody watching or catching the replay, you have to make a decision. What difference do you want to make? What matters to you, right? If you want to get involved and be a foster for rescues, if you want to foster kids, if you want to recycle, if you want to become a vegetarian, if there are so many different ways that we as individuals can make a difference globally, but we also want to focus on individually.
I think the other part of what you're saying, I think it's important to claim the little things. I mean, you say we don't really think we make a difference. Well, we'll try it on. Just try, anybody listening, just try, just claim for a minute. Okay, they say I make a difference. What am I doing now? Well, I'm listening. Right now, I'm listening. And that's one of the things that makes a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, I can smile at somebody. I can say thank you. I can practice gratitude. I mean, and we forget. The more we can name these, or at least be willing to live as if this might be true. Well, I got enough sleep last night, and I brushed my teeth, and I washed my hands, and I smiled at my kids.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I did meditation. I walked in nature. There's so many ways that we can do that. When it comes to other people, right? Smiling. Acknowledging them, using their name. We had a lady on an episode a couple weeks ago, and she said, walking down a street and using somebody's name. If you see somebody has a name tag, say their name, right? Address them by their name and see the smile or the transformation that you can make for somebody else. And you can see it. When you say hi to somebody, when you give them a hug, and obviously consensual hugs, but when you can see somebody and you can acknowledge them, you can listen to them, you can, accept them for who they are and where they're at, you can see the transformation on their face just by you doing those little things, by making those little differences. So for yourself, taking care of yourself, making a daily habit. Tomorrow, we're talking about adding fitness daily, right? In little ways, not big ways, but little ways, and making it a habit. Looking in the mirror and saying nice things to yourself. That is a huge one. And not a lot of people do that. Look in the mirror every day and identify what you're saying about yourself, how you think about yourself when you look in the mirror. It's fantastic.
Can be part of loving your body. I really had to work hard on that, but loving your body is another way, besides taking care of it, but just straight up loving it is a real way of changing the world. I mean, yeah. And making a difference.
Sorry, my leg is asleep here. My leg is all numb.
Happens. You've
Yeah,
probably been sitting there longer than I have.
probably. I've been cleaning my office and organizing today, and even that making a difference, right? I took some time today. I didn't have as many appointments today as I have for the last few months. And so I took my morning and I cleaned my office and I reorganized some stuff and I, moved stuff around and my desk is cleaned off. And now I have, stacks of stuff that I've been putting off and not going through. So, even doing that, it makes me feel good. We rearranged our bedroom. My husband and I rearranged our bedroom. It's spring here now, and we needed to rearrange because it wasn't feasible the way that we had it for, air conditioning and that. So we rearranged our room, and even that, if you look into feng shui, if you look into just organizing your room and changing it up every so often, moving your artwork, dusting, whatever that looks like, it actually increases your mood. It changes your mood into a new or refreshed, when you can open in spring, when you can open up your windows in spring and do spring cleaning, the feeling you get from doing that is transformative in itself.
There's a book by somebody else, so I can called, I don't remember the exact title, but the idea is that make your bed. Make your bed first thing as a basis for changing the world. Mm-hmm. I didn't make that one up. It's written by a military guy.
Yeah. Yep. Consistency, habit building.
Clarity, cleanness, organization, which isn't probably everybody's skill set. I mean, so also the loving yourself is also loving yourself where you are. So if you're trying to think about this list and there's anything that says, oh, I don't do that, then maybe it's not you. Yep. So it's loving yourself as a whole package.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're enough and fine just the way you are.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't mean you can't improve, but it's just.
Well, that's unconditional love, right? The truest form of unconditional love is loving, and let's talk about unconditional self-love for a minute. Unconditional self-love, and I will teach everybody this and I will drill it into people's heads. Unconditional self-love is loving yourself, but you don't have to like everything about yourself. You can love everything about yourself. You can love your body, your mind, your everything, but you don't have to like it all. That's where our growth comes from. That's where change comes from. Do I like everything about myself? Absolutely not. There are things that I don't like. I procrastinate yeah, I'm not even going to finish that sentence, but I procrastinate like a mother. It's just not, and I don't like it, but I do it. And I know that I do it. So I do things a little bit differently so that I'm not always procrastinating, like cleaning my office today. And, but it's doing those little things. You don't have to like everything about yourself or other people, but you do need to love yourself completely, right? And I think we talked about it yesterday. Unconditional love can and will change the world. If everybody can focus on unconditional love for themselves, for other people, you don't have to like everybody. You don't have to have everybody in your life. You don't have to encourage or engage with everybody, but loving people where they're at and still being able to let them go.
I want to add something in here. Maybe it's sometimes very useful to look at the words you use. So if you just experiment with eliminating need, have to, must, and sort of doing what would like to, choose to, going to, plan to, rather than, oh, I've got to do that. And see how that feels when you start with what you're talking about and that whole sort of self-acceptance and self-love too. Yep. I want to be talking to Melissa right now. Pretty good idea because I am,
Yeah. No, absolutely. I completely agree. Sorry, I have a hangnail and it's really hurting me. A little bit.
Allowed to be human.
Yep. Is there anything else you'd like to add about how to make a difference before we get going?
I want to re-emphasize how important it is to claim it, rather than saying, oh, what I do doesn't matter. Who you are matters. The big words now are you are enough, but right when I want to say that you matter, and that if you can't claim it, just let me claim it for you. It's important. We need you.
That's something I'd like to end off with is, you know, you might not think you're making a difference. You might not think anybody else is making a difference, but don't tell anybody they're not. You don't have to believe. So with my show, let's use that as an example. I feel like having one conversation at a time is making a difference. I am sharing stories, I'm sharing knowledge, techniques, experiences. I'm doing that. And I feel and I wholeheartedly believe that I am making a difference with this show. But not everybody's going to believe that. Right? And that's okay. I encourage you, if you don't believe that this show is making a difference, then that's what you believe. And that is absolutely okay. And that is right for you. But don't tell anybody else that they're not making a difference because that's what you feel or you think. Don't limit other people from making a difference in their own lives and in other people's lives because you're limiting them. That's not okay. So I wanted to share that knowledge because we do it all the time, right? Where, you know, if you're a mom or a parent and you have young kids and they think that mopping up the flour off the floor is going to help clean it, and they're doing a really good job and they're making a difference because they're mopping up flour, when in reality they're just making even more of a mess. Don't discourage them because they feel like they're making a huge difference for you, right? And encourage that. Say, you know what, that's awesome, but why don't we sweep it up first? Or why don't we grab the vacuum and vacuum it up first? Here, I'll even let you do it, right? And instead of discouraging them from doing it, teach them how to do it better. Or teach them, you know, say, hey, can I help you? It's the way we do things, even stuff like that makes a huge difference.
Huge difference.
Yeah. All right. Well, I really appreciated your time and talk today, B. I love talks like these.
Me too.
All right. Well,
my favorite things.
Yeah. If anybody would like to get in touch with B, you can do so. Her links are in the description of this episode. You can find her on her website, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. B is an author, so she does have quite a few books out, and you can go check those out through her website. So go and take a look at her, reach out, get involved, like, follow, and share of always, right? This episode and any other episode. Again, B, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. It's been a delight.
You're very welcome. All right. Anybody watching or catching the replay, if you'd like to be a guest speaker, blogger, or sponsor, or if you want to see a topic featured on the show, please reach out to us at gistalivetv.com. It is free to be a guest. It is free to give a topic that you would like to see offered. Join our Facebook group or join us across social media. We are all over the place, so go and find us, like, follow, share, and I will see all of you on the next episode. Bye.